Okie dokie. Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? It is your boy Birdman show. Um, yeah, been having some issues here. We're trying to get everything figured out. I don't know exactly what the issue is, but we've been having some feedback issues, some echo issues. We're trying to work through it. I'm gonna continue to work through this as the show goes on to try to get this fixed. But bear with us as we try to get through this. Like I said, I'm the Birdman. That's Ace. There's Death Flight. We got Hydro. We got Hunter here. This is the Birdman Show. You already know what to do, so go ahead and do it with us. All right. We are here on this episode. Um, like I said, I'm seeing some issues. I don't know about I've had how bad that freaking lag is on anybody else's end. Um, but I'm noticing something. I don't freaking know exactly what's 100% going on here, but I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, we're on this episode, and we're joined with by Hunter, who was the one that brought this episode to us. And this one, we're talking about Operation Northwoods. Um, now, I did hear a little bit about this one when I was in the military. It's crazy how you hear some of this stuff that kind of floats around. But it was one of those ones that was kind of floated around. I didn't know how much I really believed it at first. And then when Hunter mentioned this, I was like, it kind of sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure. But as I started looking at it, it did ring some bells. So I'm actually really interested to hear some of your take on this, there, Hunter. But before we get to that, I got to say what's up to everybody. Ace, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It was a busy day at work today, and it was good. It was good.
That's good. That's good. Deathlight, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing pretty good.
The week's almost
The
over,
week's
so
almost
woohoo.
over, so woohoo! 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 Sorry, just snorted.
Okay. Sorry, I was checking on something. Um, awesome. Hydro, what's up, bro? How's everything going?
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's going good. No complaints over here. I'm here. I'm here.
Outstanding. And then of course that brings us to our special guest, Hunter. How the heck are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tim. Just staying busy with car sales, trying to get some more deals out the door for the month ends.
Yeah, yeah, I know you are, and you do be doing your thing over there, man. I'm very proud of you, man. You're doing your thing over there. Okay, so before we get to you, Hunter, I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna ask my other co-hosts what their pre-knowledge of this particular case was, and how much they had, if they knew anything about it, and something like that. So, um, definitely, let's start with you. What was your knowledge, base knowledge, or whatever, when it came to this topic?
Uh, I
Uh,
know a little
I
bit
know
about
a
it.
little bit about it.
One of my
One
jobs,
of
like
my jobs, like
100 years ago,
100
I
years
worked with a
ago, I
conspiracy
worked with a
theorist.
conspiracy
So
theorist.
I heard all
So
kinds of
I
shit.
heard all kinds of shit.
And she was right
And
on
she was
what this
right on
was, but
what this
not
was, but not
the why behind it. So I
the
knew
why
like a
behind it.
half truth.
So I knew like a half truth.
If you're wondering why I'm looking at you like that, it's mainly because every single time you talk about a job, it's always 100 years ago, centuries ago, whatever.
I
You're gonna
feel
have
like I'm
people thinking you're a freaking
900,000 years
I
vampire.
feel like
old,
I'm
okay? So just
900,000 years old,
suck it up,
okay? So
buttercup, and
just
move on.
suck it up,
She feels
buttercup,
like
and move
she's
on.
I'm
Methuselah.
just saying, you're gonna have people thinking you're a freaking vampire. Ace, what about you?
They do bite.
I knew
I knew
absolutely zilch
absolutely
He
zilch
still
about
does
this,
it.
and I still
does it,
don't
and I
because
still don't
I
because
I
I I
didn't even. I was like, okay,
didn't
I'm going
even.
to
I
look
was
to
like,
see
okay,
what the
I'm gonna
topic
look
is, and
to
I was like,
see
wait,
what
it's
the
Hunter.
topic is, and I was like, wait, it's Hunter.
It's Hollow Earth.
It's Hollow Earth.
No, it's not Hollow Earth.
No, it's
I
not Hollow Earth.
researched Hollow
I
Earth, and I was like,
researched Hollow Earth, and I was like,
I asked her, I was like,
I asked her, I was like,
did you find anything more
did
than
you
I
find
did on this
anything more
topic?
than I did on this
She's like,
topic?
yeah,
She's like,
I cheated. I went to this
yeah, I
website.
cheated. I went to this website.
I was like, all I'm finding is
I was
just
like,
stuff
all
about
I'm
Hollow Earth.
finding
She's like,
is
what?
just stuff about Hollow Earth.
We're
She's
doing
like,
Operation
what?
Northwoods tonight.
We're doing Operation Northwoods tonight.
he's like, well, fuck. He's like, well, fuck. So, Hunter,
Yeah,
everything you have to say
completely
about this topic tonight is going to be a surprise to me.
different.
Everything you have to say tonight is going to be a surprise to me.
Yeah, I can see that. That's exactly what that's going to be. Okay, so Hunter. Oh wait a minute, hold up. Hydro, what about you? What was your? You have any knowledge when it came to this particular topic?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, trust me. Some things I'm really trying to work through on this thing, and it's yeah, it's just giving me some issues here. Okay, so Hunter, why don't you shed a little bit of light on this topic for us? Like I said, when it came to my brief knowledge on this, like I said, it was a brief crash course in this. So it wasn't anything major that, I would say I'd had like a whole bunch of knowledge just because I was in the military. That's not how a lot of this stuff works. So why don't you help shed some light on, first of all, why this topic, what drew to it, and then kind of just into what we're going to be talking about here a little bit.
So, main proposal of where a lot of this came from was from the CIA. And the Joint Chief of Staff at the time in 1962, who was teamed up with the CIA. Pretty much the proposal was the establishment of false flag operations. And what they were trying to do and what was leading to all of this in that sense was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So obviously tensions were really high with Cuba, and the United States government didn't exactly have a good standing on as to what they were doing and why they were constantly going over to Cuba and causing problems. So what they were trying to do was set up a false flag operation, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with, to gain support of the American people out of fear to push for war against Cuba. So it's just kind of a light shed on it.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, that's covering it pretty good there. Now this was, and for most people, and I don't remember. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm doing now. I'm really seriously doing 500 things at once. Um, what did you tell them what year all this was going on? Because I mean, I know you said Cuba Missile Crisis, but not everybody is a historian on that. When it comes to a lot of that
1962
stuff.
is when a lot of this was taking place.
Right. Okay. And so some of the proposals were called for Central Intelligence, CIA, operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets. Now, you hear something like that, and most people are like, "What? There's no way that the government would actually stage any type of attacks on our military or our people." Yeah, if you think that's, yeah, you're still pretty new to life. And it's not just the American government. This is governments around the world that would, they would do something like this. Now, before we get a little bit more into it, I will ask you this question, Hunter. Um, Now, all this is pretty much backed up with documents and everything else like that, right?
Correct. The Freedom
Okay.
of Information Act
So
was what released a lot of this information.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so um all right, let's kind of get right into it. Okay, so who was in power in Cuba at that time? Fidel Castro, right?
Correct.
Okay. So mainly what was going on that kind of led up to these going into place?
Pretty much the United States government believed that Fidel Castro and the Cubans had weapons of mass destruction. Of course, and they were already conducting small operations in Cuba secretly. But they were wanting to have full mass deployment to Cuba to take care of a lot of this issue, and they needed something to pretty much justify why they could do it. Because the U.S. citizens obviously wouldn't just justify us going to a small country like Cuba and attacking them without having some sort of reason or a provocation. So this establishment of this false flag operation would have been the perfect justification for us to be like, hey, yeah, let's go to war with Cuba. Let's end the weapons of mass destruction. That's what they were trying to implement.
Okay.
And on the declassified docs, it literally says pretext to justify U.S. military intervention in Cuba.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
glad you
like,
said
they
that.
laid it out.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was about to ask Ace that, but then I remembered not to ask Ace. So definitely, why don't you give us a little bit more insight of what's going on with that document?
So this was declassified in the late 90s. And Hunter, do you know why it's calling it Operation Mongoose?
I do not know.
Because so everything in this is calling it Operation Mongoose. So, but when I googled it, this is what came up. So who knows? Basically, it was an outline of a plan for pretending to have terrorist attacks. Civilian aircraft being hijacked, attacks on bases. I mean, like they went all out. Start rumors. Incidents to establish a credible attack. Land friendly Cubans in uniform over the fence to stage an attack on a base. Capture Cuban friendly saboteurs inside the base and start riots near the main base gates. And basically, they're using actors.
Now I'm gonna tell you why this particular topic is interesting to me, especially given like a lot of what of the things were has been going on here lately, especially in the United States, and people talking about, well, you got these people they're doing these protests, and they're all these people are staged people that are put in place to cause this stuff, and the fact that some people, majority of Americans think that this is just something that's new, it's not. Those type of tactics are not new, by any stretch of the means of imagination. And a lot of problems I'm seeing with a lot of stuff, especially when we talk about topics like this, a lot of stuff is just being rinsed, being washed, rinsed, and repeated. None of that new. What was the? Hold on, where was it at? Dang it! I wish I'd have did cliff notes on this a little bit better than I did. In No, that's not the one I wanted. God bless America. I do apologize for that. Possibly detailed in this document. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so Hydro, did you find anything else on the bombings and some of the bombings that the hijackings that they were talking about doing within some of these proposals?
Not yet. I'm still looking.
Okay. Did anybody else other than I don't want to ask Hunter everything. And I'm looking at a few of the things here. I'm just trying to figure out which ones, because there was one, they had a picture of one of them that I was trying to find with the fuse to actually kind of show some of the things that they were using. But I'm not locating it.
This never happened.
So does anybody else? Huh?
This never happened. This never happened.
What never happened?
Operation Northwoods was shot down by JFK.
Mhm.
Is it JFK?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it never happened. I was trying to build to that, but all right, thank you. Anyways,
Don't say you're looking for pictures of something that never happened. Don't say you're looking throws me off. Something that never happened.
they
Throws me off.
no, because they do have pictures of some of the stuff that they were proposing to use. Everything, yes, this was all a proposal, and yes, they had all the stuff that they needed to do to actually implement it. I mean, that doesn't mean that it actually, happened. Like I said, the documentation is basically outlining everything that they were going to do.
Mhm.
But like Carrie said, it was shot down by JFK, which that thankfully that could have been disastrous for the United States, especially given they decided to declassify this information. But it's just the fact that they were willing to, that people actually were willing to do something, that they were actually willing to stage attacks upon American military and civilians. That, I think, to me, speaks a lot more volumes with a lot of this stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the hypotheticals of everything that goes on with this. All right, so it was a total of, what was it, 1,500, like 1,521 pages, correct? Of all the documents that were released, covering from 1962 to 1964.
Correct.
That sound right, Hunter?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Cool. Now that's a lot of freaking stuff. And I think CNN did let's see, what is it? Joint venture. There was a joint venture with the National Security Archive in November of 1998, sorry, in a joint venture with CNN as part of the 1998 Cold War television documentary series. And it was it Cuba? It didn't tell me the name of it. Episode. It says episode 10, Cuba, which aired the 29th of November 1998. I don't really remember watching that. I don't know if anybody else had watched it. Ace, what have you been able to come up with since you
I got nothing.
frozen? Okay. What?
What's happening right now? What's happening right now?
What's happening right now is there is a huge, for whatever reason, I'm seeing it on YouTube right now, where it'll stop. Everything just stops, and then it jumps back in, but it jumps back in freaking spots. So like when I was talking to Ace, it wasn't saying anything, but he was moving. I could see him moving, and I could see me talking to him, but it wasn't saying anything. So I have no idea what is happening right now. So this is freaking awesome.
Good.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Good.
Yeah, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have okay. So Carrie, I'm gonna need you to do me a favor, okay?
Mhm.
You with me?
Maybe.
Are you with me?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to do me a favor.
Sure.
I'm gonna need you to kind of take over the hosting since you did some research. Ace is still looking for some stuff. I want you to kind of take over while I try to work the back end of this. Okay?
Okay.
Can
So
you
just
do that
have
for
Hunter
me?
talk. Okay.
Don't look like a
So
deer in
just have
headlights.
Hunter talk.
Well, You're still gonna need to chime in every once in a while, and you're gonna need to help direct the direction of the conversation for a little bit until I can get this figured out. Okay?
I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, go for it.
Yes. Okay. I don't even know where we were at.
Here,
I don't even know
I'll
where we
take.
were
I'll
at.
take it.
Okay.
That's just
Okay.
fucking with me right there. I'm listening to it here, and then I'm listening to it on YouTube, and then I'm listening to it on YouTube. The main Operation Northwoods proposal was presented in a document titled "Justification of U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba," a top secret collection of draft memorandas written by the DoD and the Joint Staffs. The document was presented by the Joint Staffs, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. Okay. Just making sure I said that right. On the 13th of March, 1962, as a preliminary submission for planning purposes. The Joint Chiefs recommended that both the covert and overt aspects of any such operation be assigned to them. The previously secret document was originally made public on November 18th, 1997 by John F. Kennedy. Oh, by the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Review Board, a U.S. federal agency overseeing the release of government records related to JFK's assassination. A total of 1,521 pages of once secret military records covering 1962 to 1964 were commemoratively declassified and said review board, or by said review board. So apparently there was a declassification by a group of people that oversaw the assassination of JFK. And I guess that's the only reason why we know about Operation Northwoods.
Freedom of Information Act.
Yes.
Information Act. Yes. Hydro. Yeah. Do you know of some of these things that they had planned, like what they outlined? Of the stuff that you read, what was the most insane to you that you were just like, they really said this, they really want to do this?
Didn't really get a chance to read too much, so I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, Hunter.
What do you got?
What out of all the things that they had planned out, and everything that they had planned was, you were just like, they really were going to go there. That was their brilliant idea to go there.
Coming up to the U.S. president and proposing mass terrorist attacks on the U.S. on U.S. soil, on mass terrorist attacks on the U.S. on U.S. soil, and it was in like locations like Miami or D.C. and it was many other larger cities that would really just spark major controversy. They really just genuinely proposed this to the president. They thought it was a good idea too.
I mean, I have the unclassified doc pulled up because I got nosy. And like, they were legitimately talking about sinking actual ships, blowing up a ship in near Cuba and blaming Cuba, having this literally says sink ship near the harbor entrance, conduct funerals for mock victims.
Same with an airliner plane too. They were proposing to have a airliner fly near Cuba and then act like it got blown out of the sky and then frame Cuba for it.
Capture a militia group, which then they release to storm the base so they can recapture them. It's insane.
Yeah. And then of course, JFK, said it was maniacal. Shot it down, wouldn't sign off on it, and then shortly afterwards, that's when he started working really heavily to dismantle the CIA. And then subsequently, we'd know what followed that. He tried to really take them down, and then less than a year later, he was murdered sitting next to his wife in a parade.
I knew I should have made a tinfoil hat for this episode. I knew it. I was even thinking I'm about to make one just to be a smartass because I know somebody's going to bring up the JFK assassination in regards to this.
Oh yeah. Just coincidentally falls in line, it's all coincidence. But it's a very crazy situation. The scary thing about it is this happened in 1962, 1963. So imagine what has been done, possibly staged or set up in the time between now and then. That's a scary process.
Yeah. It is. They would go to any length to get what they wanted, basically.
And this specific incident is what leads. Sorry to cut you off. This specific incident is exactly what leads for people to have conspiracies of 9/11. That could lead into a whole other topic, of course, but with 9/11 happening, and then they blamed it, on the Middle East, and then they started saying, oh, they have weapons of mass destruction, and look what happened when 9/11 happened. Every U.S. citizen was ready to jump up out of their seat and go to war. And then ultimately we did go to war. Fought there for years for just oil and nothing really to gain out of it for us. It's a really crazy situation, honestly.
That's a big flex.
Yeah.
Savior of the world. Yeah, the guy that suggested it, or one of the guys that suggested it, he was later removed from his position as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Sorry, I think you're a little too nuts.
Crazy situation. But yeah. That's really about all I got.
This echo's throwing me off my game so hardcore right now. So it's my brain is already squirreling, and then it's just like bouncing around.
Wait, what?
Ace, you got anything?
No echo.
Give it a minute. It'll be back.
Knock on wood.
You mentioned something about Operation Mongoose. In addition to Operation Northwoods, under the Operation Mongoose program, the U.S. Department of Defense had a number of similar proposals for actions to be taken against the Cuban regime of Fidel Castro. 12 of these programs come from a February 2nd, 1962 memorandum entitled Possible Actions to Provoke, Harass, or Disrupt Cuba. Where the fuck was it? Okay. It was written by a brigadier general and submitted to a brigadier general, which was the commander of the Operation Mongoose project. The memorandum outlines Operation Bingo, a false flag plan to create an incident which has the appearance of an attack on U.S. facilities in Cuba, thus providing an excuse for use of U.S. military might to overthrow the current government of Cuba. It also includes Operation Dirty Trick, Another false flag plot to blame Castro if the 1962 Mercury crewed space flight carrying John Glenn crashed, saying the objective is to provide irrevocable proof that should the Mercury manned orbit flight fail, the fault lies with the communists. Cuba. It continues to say this to be accomplished by manufacturing various pieces of evidence which would prove electronic interference on the part of the Cubans. So I'm just getting the idea that we just didn't like the Cubans.
It's Castro.
Like at all.
It was Castro. They thought he was the end all be all evil. But the difference between Operation Northwoods and Mongoose is they actually did some of the things with Operation Mongoose. Not the most insane things, but they did do some things. Some of their dumber ideas: exploding cigars, LSD laced broadcasting,
Terrifying.
and poison pens. I guess they go to sign something and it poisons and kills them.
Probably
Is
ricin
that-
on the pen.
Yeah.
Is that anything like the anthrax scare?
No, it's probably more like what he said, ricin. They probably tried to take something out of the KGB playbook with the ricin pellets.
Gotcha.
Psychological warfare was the biggest thing. Hypnotic femme fatale assassination plots. They were reaching.
Scary
This
part
sounds
is they
like-
were actually confident that they could do it.
With some of this, yeah. But LSD themed mass hallucinations, exploding cigars. Like, it's out of a bad movie. It's not even a good movie. It's a bad movie.
They did not like them enough. They were willing to try just about anything, it sounds like.
Oh, okay. So the LSD broadcasting is basically they would dose the air or the water and pump it into wherever Fidel Castro was broadcasting from, so he could trip balls on TV, basically.
That would be scary.
That is nuts.
Have you come up with anything up there yet, Hydro? Are you still with us, Hydro?
Well, I gave just about all the information that I have on Operation Northwoods. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch, so I am going to go ahead and hit the road. But it's a pleasure being here with y'all today, and I look forward to the next one 100%.
Absolutely.
See you later, Hunter.
Alrighty, guys. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Well,
So how you
alrighty
doing,
then.
Ace?
I am doing fantastical. We got the Birdman up here trying to get stuff straightened out on his end. I'm not sure exactly where the hydro went.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm not hearing it right now. That don't mean jack squat. Obviously it does not. Okay, so let's do this real quick. Let's go ahead and take a real quick commercial break. And then when we get back, we'll see exactly where we're at with this. See exactly where we're gonna go with it. All right, so just stick around. We'll be right back with more of the Birdman Show right after this.
Yep. Drop. Gotcha. How we doing, everybody? This commercial is brought to you by Dubby Energy Drinks. Dubby is an energy drink that you mix at home. Dubby is formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or no crash. So, their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and neurotropics, including the patented neurofactor. There are no calories, no sugar, no fillers, and no artificial colors. So if you need something to give you the energy to take on the world, W is what you need. Go to w.gg, that's DUBBY.GG to get yours today. Hey, as a special bonus to our followers, if you enter the promo code the Birdman, just Birdman Show, you will get 10% off of your first order. Hey, tell them the Birdman sent Stop.
What the freak just happened there? Okay, that was super weird. Like what the freak, man? Like everything on my screen and everything just like kind of froze there for a second. So that was awesome, totally awesome. Okay, so not to really get too crazy off into it. First of all, are you guys still hearing the echo? That's my first question.
Carrie? Yes.
Yep. I could hear it through the whole commercial.
Yes.
Okay.
The burr was the best part of the echo because it just kept going.
Yeah. One thing I tried to do, and I could when I went off screen, it did seem to help a couple times, but it just seemed the echo just seemed to come back. I don't know exactly what the issue was, but I actually went in each one of your guys's setup and I actually paused the actual upload. So it did seem to help for a few. There was spurts in there where it would actually stop doing it, but then it
Well-
came right back. So I'm wondering if there is an issue within the browser itself as far as the studio goes, to where it's causing an issue. Because like I said, with it coming and going like it's going at times.
When it would stop was whenever you would mute.
I get that, but then when I would unmute, it wasn't happening. And then one time I muted again, and when I muted again, it came back. And then when I unmuted, it went away. Then I muted again, it went away. Then I unmuted, it came. So what I'm saying is it's doing it it's like coming and going. So whether I'm muting or whatever, this is that. The problem is if it is because if I'm having to mute, that means there's a problem with the actual browser and the actual studio. And that's not something you can get around if that's the case. There's absolutely nothing you can do. If
What
it's
browser
doing
did
it
you
to where
use? Browser did you use?
it's the same one I always use. I haven't changed anything. I have not changed anything on setup. Now the thing that I'm starting to wonder is because you guys were sitting there in the studio for a long time and I wasn't in the studio. That's because the internet here just completely went out on this end. Now the end where Ace is at, that's where the big hub is at. And there wasn't an issue. He was still in the studio. So I'm wondering if something happened with there. So what's going to probably have to end up happening, I'm gonna have to reset everything once we get out of here. And then figure out kind of troubleshoot it from there. But it sounds more like it's a connection issue more than anything else, especially since the fact that it wasn't there to begin with earlier. And then as soon as that happened with the internet, now all of a sudden it's there and it's like bad. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, it is what it is. So not much I can do about it at this present moment in time. So yeah. What I can do, first of all, let me ask this question before I go to do before I decide to do what I'm gonna do. How much more information do you guys have on this topic?
You
Well, I know
guys.
you don't.
You guys.
Huh?
He
How,
was
how, how how much more
researching
information
hobbits.
do you have? How much more
Researching
information
hobbits.
do you have? Fuck you, Carrie. Fuck you, Carrie.
None. None. I pretty much read the entire declassified document that I found. So unless Ace and Hydro come up with some stuff, that's it.
That's it.
You want to talk about your hobbitses?
Nope.
Oh, for the love of God.
Hobbits.
Why the huh? Okay. Um are you, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The freak? Yeah, there's some. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyways, okay. So you guys don't have any more information as far as this topic goes. That's what I'm understanding, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So here's going to be probably the shortest episode of the Birdman Show ever. And it is just I'm beyond irritated with the studio and everything that's going on right now. So I've got to try to figure some things out. Figure exactly what the issue is. That being said, Ace, tell everybody what's going on with you Sunday, and then go ahead and tell them about the week tomorrow.
Okay. On Sunday, 6 to 9. Whoa, I just extended that 3 hours. From 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, I will be live. If you're in the studio, you can click on this link and it will take you to my bio. Just for future references. But over on TikTok, if you're not in the studio, search me up, TLB-ACE, right there, and send me a follow. Come out on Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's always a shit show. You never know what direction we're going to go. So we will see you Sunday for trivia. But before we get to Sunday, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Time, we will be on TikTok under Birdman Show under right. Birdman Show at Birdman Show. Birdman Show. See again, if you were in the studio, you could click on this link. You were in the studio, and it would take you to his profile. Would take you to his profile. So, come out and see us tomorrow. Where we're not going to have an echo on TikTok. And we will recap what we talked about tonight. For about 10 minutes. And then you don't know what direction it's going to fucking go. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time on TikTok at Birdman
I can tell you
Show.
what direction it's gonna go.
Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time on TikTok at Birdman Show. Sunday on TikTok, TLB-ACE. On TikTok, TLB-ACE. That's where you can find us.
Yeah, I can tell you 100% which direction. Yeah, it'll tell you 100% the direction that recap's gonna go. It's not gonna go in the direction of this show, this episode right here. Yeah. So, like I said, I do appreciate everybody who joined, who's been sticking with us. Like I said, this is just like I said, it's been a headache from start to damn near finish. But like I said, please join us tomorrow night for the recap. We'll be good to go. And I should have everything up and running because I'll have more time to be able to actually work on it instead of it being a big surprise right when the show started. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we get up out of here?
Nope.
We'll take that as a no. Okay, I'm about to run this like I usually run my my team meetings. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything to say? Okay,
Nope.
no. All right. We want to thank everybody for the episode of the Birdman Show. Like I said, we're taking through all tip. So you guys, this is on my TikTok profile. Like Ace said, Birdman Show, and of course Sunday will join us for Ace is doing he's doing his trivia night. So we'll see you guys later. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Birdman Show out. Do it with us last time. We out.